Hello guys. So in this session, we are going to learn how to deploy Node.js Helm Chart on Minikube using GitHub Actions and ArgoCD. Right. So as you can see, first of all, here some prerequisites. So we need a AWS account to our instance, right? Then we need to install Git if required. Then we need to install Node.js and npm if required. Then we need to install Docker, Minikube, kubectl, Helm, and ArgoCD. That's the some prerequisites to deploy Node.js Helm chart on Minikube using GitHub Actions and ArgoCD. Okay, so before installing, so here let's look into complete diagram for this task to deploy Node.js Helm chart on Minikube using GitHub Actions and ArgoCD. So as you can see here in diagram, right? So first of all, here you can see the Docker Hub. Then Docker Hub push the image to Helm chart. Then it's go to the Argo CD and it's go to then Minikube, right? And as you can see here, first of all, we need to developer push to commit code commit, right? Then we are going to build our image, right? Using pipeline, sorry, using workflow, right? We are going to build our image. And as you can see, we are going to create Docker file also, right? So that's the diagram to deploy our Node.js Helm chart to Minikube using GitHub Actions and Argo CD. Right. So as you can see, first of all, Docker, then Docker up, then it's go to the Helm chart, then our image goes in our Argo CD. That means we are going to create our application in Argo CD, right? Then it's go to the Minikube. So that's the simple diagram of deploying the Node.js Helm chart on Minikube using GitHub Actions and Argo CD. Okay, so let's start. So as you can see, first of all, some prerequisites, right? So we need to install this. So as you can see here, I have already launched my instance with the name Argo CD, as you can see, right? And the status is running. And here I have already installed Docker. If I enter Docker, so as you can see, I have already installed Docker. Then if I enter kubectl version, so as you can see the version, that means I have already installed kubectl also. Then Helm, if I enter Helm version, then as you can see the Helm version, right? So I have already installed some prerequisites. So I have already installed Docker, Minikube. So here if I enter Minikube version, so as you can see, so here I have already installed some prerequisites. So now I'm going to install Argo CD. I have already installed this Docker, Minikube, kubectl, Helm, and so on, right? So now I'm going to install Argo CD. So here, if you don't know how to install Argo CD and how to install this prerequisites, so you can go to my article, this how to install Argo CD on Minikube and deploy an app. So you can install Argo CD also, right? So now I'm going to install Argo CD. So to install Argo CD, first of all, I'm going to start my Minikube. So here I'm going to start my Minikube using Docker. So as you can see, starting. So as you can see, our Minikube is starting, right? So it takes few seconds. So yeah, it's done. Now after that, here we need to create our namespace, right? Here my namespace will be Argo CD, right? So the command is kubectl create ns means namespace and Argo CD. So I'm going to create my namespace Argo CD. So wait a second, it's almost done. because here we are going to install ArgoCD using Minikube. So that's why first of all we need to install Minikube, and first of all we need to start our Minikube, and then we are going to install our ArgoCD. So that's why it take a few seconds. So yep, it's almost done. It's booting up control plane. Yep, it's done. Okay, done. Kubectl is now configured. Minikube cluster and default namespace by default. Okay, our Minikube successfully started. Now let's create our namespace using this command. Cs namespace ArgoCD created. Okay, after that let's install ArgoCD using this command. So as you can see, our ArgoCD, okay, it's done. So we have successfully installed ArgoCD, okay, using this command. Okay. So here we have installed Docker, Minikube, kubectl, Helm, ArgoCD, and so on, right? Okay, so we have successfully installed these prerequisites. Now, the next step is here, create Node.js application. So let's create our Node.js application. So what are the Node.js application? That means we need to create our package.json file, then service.js file, right? And then our Docker file also, right? So let's create our Node.js application. So I'm going to create my Node.js application here. So here, first of all, I'm going to create this package.json file, right? So let's create our package.json file here. So the command is sudo nano and package.json file. So as you can see in this name, app, the version, and our main file is service.js file, right? Okay. And the start node service.js. Okay. Let's save the file using Control X, then S for Y and enter. Okay. Then after that, let's create our service.js file, right? So let's create our service.js file. So the command is sudo nano service.js file. Okay, so in service.js file, as you can see, our port number is 3000, right? And console app running at the local host, and our port number is 3000. Okay, if we enter /hell, then it will it will open the okay. Then as you can see, after that, hello, right? Let's check. So it will print hello world, and if we enter /hell, then it will print okay. So let's save the file. Now let's create Docker file, right? So my file name is Docker file. And in this file, I'm going to enter this code. As you can see, our step number 7 is create Docker file and Docker image and container for Node.js application. So as you can see, the port number is 3000 and so on, right? Okay, so let's save the file and exit. Okay, if I enter the ls command, so as you can see our file. So our files is Docker file, package.json file, and service.js file that we have just created. Okay. Now here our step is create Docker file, and after that Docker images and container for Node.js application. So let's check. So first of all, let's build the Docker image. Okay. So now we are going to build our Docker image using this command. So the command is docker build -t and then your image name. So my image name is node/app and colon, and the tag is latest space dot. Okay, so let's build our Docker image. So I'm going to build my Docker image using this command. So as you can see, sending build context to Docker. So it takes few seconds. So as you can see, it's almost done. Now we are going to build our Docker image, right? So as you can see, run npm install. Okay. So as you can see, build successfully. Okay, and tag successfully. Our tag is node app colon and the tag is latest. Okay. Now after that, let's push this image, right? As you can see, test the Node.js Docker container on browser locally. So let's test our Node.js Docker container image, right? So let's test this image is working or not. So how to test? So the command is docker run -p and the port number is 3000 colon 3000 and then our our image name colon and the tag is latest. So let's copy the command to test this image and let's enter. So as you can see, it's running at localhost 3000. That means our instance IP. So first of all, we need to copy our instance IP and hit on browser. And our port number is 3000, right? So as you can see, it will print hello world. Okay. And then if I enter /health here, it will print okay. So let's check. So hit enter. As you can see, it will print okay. Okay. So our image is working, right? So, okay, it's done. Now, let's stop our Docker container. Okay. So we need to stop our Docker container. Why? Because when we deploy our application on ArgoCD, then we need to check our application is deployed or not. Right? So we need to test like that instance IP and the port number. So that's why here I'm going to stop my Docker now. So let's open new here. Okay. Let's clear the screen. Let's enter the ls command now. Enter docker ps. Okay. As you can see, this is our container ID, right? Node app latest. Now, if I enter here, I'm going to remove this help and enter. So as you can see, now it's working, right? Okay. Now we need to stop this. Okay. So the command is docker stop and the container ID. Okay. Now, once again, if I refresh my page, as you can see, it's working, right? Okay. Now let's enter. Now, as you can see, it's stopped. So let's check. So go to this and refresh the page. So as you can see, the site can't be reached. That means our testing that we have just tested our image that stop. Okay. That we have successfully stopped our Docker image, right? As you can see, the site can't be reached. If I refresh again, so as you can see here, it's stopped. Okay. Okay. Now the next step is we need to create Helm chart for Node.js application and modify Helm chart files. Right. So first of all, we need to install Helm. So we have already installed Helm, right? If I enter Helm version, so as you can see, the version that means we have successfully installed Helm. So now let's clear the screen. And now we need to create Helm chart first. So how to create Helm chart? So the command is Helm create and then your chart name. So my chart name will be Node app. My chart name will be Node app. So I'm going to create my Helm chart with the name Node app. So let's enter command. So as you can see, creating Node app. Now if I enter the ls command, so as you can see my folder Node app that we have just created. Okay. Now, after creating our Helm chart, we need to modify some files in this Helm chart. So first of all, we need to modify values.yaml file. Then we need to modify deployment.yaml file. Then we need to modify service.yaml file. Right. So let's modify one by one. So first of all, let's modify deployment.yaml file. So I'm going to my Node app folder. And in this, if I run the ls commands, as you can see, chart.yaml, charts, templates, values.yaml. So our deployment.yaml file is in templates folder. So let's inside the template folder. Now, as you can see, our deployment.yaml file. So let's edit using nano editor. Okay. So as you can see, this is our deployment.yaml file, right? So I'm going to replace this. So let's replace our deployment.yaml file. So let's edit our deployment.yaml file, right? So as you can see, our deployment.yaml file. So we need to update this, right? So I'm going to, first of all, we need to modify this, right? So I'm going to remove this code. And I'm going to replace this file with my file. So as you can see, it's done. Okay. Okay. So now here is my deployment.yaml file. So I'm going to copy my deployment.yaml file and paste here. Okay, so this is my deployment.yaml file. So as you can see, deployment.yaml file, right? Okay, so let's save the file and exit. After that, if I run the ls command here, okay, now the next file is we need to modify our service.yaml file, right? So let's open our service.yaml file using sudo nano and service.yaml file, right? Okay. So here in service.yaml file, here we need to update this. Here, as you can see, my service.yaml file here. Okay. So here, keep as it is, right? Here, we need to, no need to change our service.yaml file, right? So let's the service.yaml file. And after that, the next file is our values.yaml file. So our values.yaml file is in our Helm chart app folder is in our Helm chart folder. That means our node app folder. So here, as you can see, my values.yaml file. So let's open my values.yaml file. Okay. So here we need to modify my values.yaml file, right? So as you can see here, first of all, here is my values.yaml file. Okay. So first of all, as you can see here, I'm going to replace this repository with my repository name, right? My repository name is node app. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to copy this image tag from here to here. And first of all, I'm going to modify my file first. Okay. And then next replacement is here, the app version. Okay. Now in this file here, first of all, I'm going to comment this my tag, right? After that, here in my repository, my image name is DevOps hint slash and my image name is node app, right? And I'm going to comment my tag. And after that, here I'm going to enter add this environment app version, right? So here I'm going to add environment app version. So my version is I'm going to enter 1.0.0, right? Okay, so I'm going to enter my app version is 1.0.0. Okay, so I'm going to enter my version 1.0. Okay, so as you can see, the changes in our values.yaml file, right? After that, here, let's check for once. After that, here in service, we need to change this service with the node port and the port number, right? So I'm going to copy this. Okay. In service, here I'm going to replace this type cluster IP with node port and the port number is 3000, target port also 3000, right? Okay. Then, okay, that's it. That's it for values.yaml file. So let's save the file and exit. Okay. We have successfully modified deployment.yaml file as well as values.yaml file. Okay. It's done. Now, the next step is here. We need to create a Git repo and push Node.js app code, Docker file, and Node.js Helm chart to this GitHub repository, right? We need to push this code into our repository. So how to push? So first of all, we need to create a GitHub repo, right? So let's go to the GitHub repo, GitHub. So this is my GitHub account, right? So let's create a new GitHub repo. So I'm going to create a GitHub repo. Click on new and the name will be here. So enter your names. My repository name will be Deploy NodeJS Helm Chart on Minikube using GitHub Actions and ArgoCD. Okay. And public and click on add a readme file and create a repository. So, okay, it's done. So as you can see, we have successfully created a repo with the name Deploy NodeJS Helm Chart on Minikube using GitHub Action and ArgoCD. Now we need to clone this repository first. So click on code and copy the clone, HTTP. So now let's clear the screen first. Okay. Now here for an ls command, as you can see, there is no any repo. So first of all, we need to clone our repo. So the command is git clone and copy the HTTPS. And as you can see, it's cloning, right? Now if I run the ls command, so as you can see, our repo name. Okay, that means we have successfully cloned our repo. Now here we need to copy our we need to copy and paste our folders. Which folders? Node app folder, then service.js file, docker file, as well as package.json file. So how to copy? So the command is sudo cp, that means copy hyphen r, and our folder name that we want to copy. So I'm going to copy my folder node app, and after that and our repo name. So our repo name is deploy node.js Helm chart. Okay, enter. Now if I run the ls command, our node app folder here, and if I go to my repo, if I run the ls command, as you can see, node app. Okay. Now let's exit. After that, we need to copy service.js file, docker file, and package.json file. So let's copy. Sudo cp -r service.js. Okay. Then service.js file and then package.json file. Okay. And then our docker file. Okay, now let's clear the screen. And if I run the ls command and I'm going to inside my folder, repo folder, and when the ls commands, as you can see here, I have node app folder, package.json file, service.js file, and the Docker file. Okay, it's done. Now here we need to push this code into our this repo, right? If I refresh my page, as you can see, there is no any files. There is only one file with the name readme.md, and this is a by default. So let's push this code into our repository. So how to push? So first of all, you need to inside our repository folder and enter command git add dot, then git commit -m and double quote your commits. My commit will be files added. Okay. And then after that, here enter git push. So it will ask username. So my username is DevOps Hint. After that, it will ask your password. So you need to enter your password. So I'm going to enter here my password, but here I'm going to enter my secret key, because here we need to enter our secret key. That means our okay, here we need to enter our secret key. That means our token, personal access token that we have created in our GitHub GitHub account, right? So here, if you enter your password, see, if I enter my password, so as you can see, authentication failed, right? Because we need to enter personal access token only. So if I enter git push, it will ask my username. So my username is DevOps, and now I'm going to enter my personal access token. So as you can see, it's done. So let's go to the repository and refresh the page. So as you can see, we have successfully pushed this code into our repository. Okay. Now the next step is, let's check the next step. Now here we have successfully create our Helm chart, and then we have successfully create our repo, and we have successfully pushed this Node.js code and Docker file, Node.js Helm chart to our GitHub repo. Now the next step is we are going to create our GitHub action workflow using this command code. So first of all, before creating our workflow, we need to create two secrets in this repo. So let's go to the settings, secrets, actions, and here new repo secret, and create our secret. So here, first of all, let's check the name. So here, our secret name, so our secret name will be Docker username, right? So our secret name will be Docker username. So let's create Docker username, right? Okay, Docker username. So my Docker username will be DevOps. Okay, and click on add secret. After that, the next secret for password, right? So it's Docker key. So next secret is Docker key. So secret name will be Docker key. Okay, so as you can see, we have successfully created two secret, Docker key as well as Docker username, right? Okay. Now let's go to the code. Sorry, let's go to the actions and click on set up a workflow yourself. So let's create a workflow using this code. So first of all, let's copy the code and let's understand one by one. Okay. Now, first of all, here our branch name is main. And first of all, here as you can see, our Docker username and is in our secret Docker username, right? And it's go to the environment, Docker up username, Docker up key, and the image name is Node app, right? Our image name is Node app. After that, job, build and deploy. First of all, name checkout is in this repository. Then we are going to log into our Docker Hub, right? So first of all, your username and password. Then we are going to build our image. Okay. So first of all, here our Docker Hub username, that means DevOps scene, then image name, and that means our Node app, then colon, and the GitHub dot sha. That means here, as you can see, first of all, our workflow will run and it will create a automatic ID, right? That we have stored in our values.yaml file, right? It will create a code when we run our workflow, right? That's the GitHub SHA. And as you can see here also, app version. Here also I mentioned app version, right? That we are stored in our values.yaml file. Okay, so first of all, we are going to run our workflow, then it will create a automatic app version, right? And it will store in this GitHub SHA. Okay, it's in values.yaml file. Then as you can see, push Docker image. Then here we are going to update our values.yaml file, and our folder is our Helm chart folder is Node app, right? So that's why here I'm going to enter my command cd and Node app. So if your Node app chart name is different, then you need to rename this. Replace this name with your Node app chart. Sorry, Helm chart, right? Then after that, here app version and the github.sha is in values.yaml file. Then it's authenticate my username and password, right? Then git add values.yaml file. As I told you, it will automatically generate my app version and it will store in my values.yaml file, right? As you can see, then git commit, then git push, right? Okay, so let's click on commit changes and let's check our workflow. So go to the actions, and as you can see is in queue. So let's check. So as you can see, we have successfully logged into Docker Hub. Now it will build our Docker image. It's done. Now it will push our Docker image. It's also done. Now it will update my values.yaml file. So there is a error. So let's check which error here. One file change, remote permission to deploy. Okay, it will ask the permission, right? We need to enter a permission here. So our workflow, as you can see, is in progress, right? So let's check. So it will give error. So wait a second. As you can see here, in update YAML file, permission to this repository, right? So we need to set the permission here. So how to set? So first of all, go to the settings, go to the actions, go to the general, and let's scroll down. As you can see, workflow permission. So we need to click on this read and write permission to this workflow and click on save, right? Now go to the code and go to your repository, click on your repository, and now let's update your, sorry, let's run your workflow. Now go to the actions and let's check your workflow. So as you can see, is in progress. So wait for a few seconds. Now it will run successfully because we give out the permission, right? So as you can see, our repository successfully run, right? As you can see, it succeed. Now 24 seconds. So okay, now let's go to the Docker Hub, and if I refresh the page of my Docker Hub, so as you can see here, our image that we have just pushed, as you can see, pushed less than a minute ago, Node app, right? We have successfully pushed our Docker image into Docker Hub. Okay, okay, it's done. Now it's time to log into our ArgoCD. Okay, so how to log in? So first of all, here we need to access the ArgoCD in our browser. So how to access? So first of all, we need to forward this code port to access our ArgoCD in browser. So I'm going to clear the screen first, and let's access the ArgoCD in browser using this command. So first of all, copy your instance IP and hit on browser, and the port number is 8080. So click on advanced, go to the proceed to this unsafe. So the default username is admin and the password. So we need to enter the command to access the password. So here's the command to access our password. So keep this forwarding, right? Do not stop this. I'm going to I'm going to open new session for this and enter this. And as you can see, our password. So I'm going to enter password, click on sign in. So as you can see, this is our ArgoCD UI, right? So let's deploy the application. So first of all, we need to create a new app, and into your app name. So my app name will be Node app. Then project name is default. Then here enter your repository name. So my repository is here. Go to the code and copy the repository URL and paste here. After that path, that means your Helm chart name. So my Helm chart folder is Node app. So that's why here I'm going to enter Node app. Then destination cluster URL is kubectl default svc and namespace is default. And in Helm, enter a file values.yaml and click on create. So as you can see, our application Node app is created successfully, and the help status is missing, sync status is out of sync. So we need to sync this first. So click on sync, synchronize. So as you can see, it's synced, and the app health is progressing, sync is okay. Now let's go to the terminal and let's check using kubectl get pods. So as you can see, the name is Node app, the status is running, ready 1 of 1. Then let's check the service using SVC, right? Then let's check the deploy. So as you can see, the seconds is 32 seconds ago, 42 seconds ago, sorry, 26 seconds ago, 17 seconds ago. And now, as you can see, our app health is healthy, right? That means we have successfully synced. If I go to this and if I refresh the page, as you can see, now, as you can see, its app health status is healthy, right? App health is healthy. So here now we have successfully deployed our this image, right? So here, if I enter my instance IP and the port number is 3000, if I refresh my page, as you can see, the site can't be reached. Why? Because here we need to forward this port, right? So the command is here to deploy Node.js application help chart on Minikube using ArgoCD. We need to forward this port to access our image in browser. So the command is kubectl port forward svc, then your image name. That means here. Node app, right? So our image name, then address, and our port number is 0.0.0.0. That means any IP address. So IP address and port number is 3000. So I'm going to copy my command and let's paste here. My image name is Node app only. So as you can see, it's forwarding this IP address and the port number. And now if I go to browser and refresh the page, so as you can see, it's hello world. That means we have successfully deployed our image, right? So here we have learned deploy Node.js Helm chart on Minikube using GitHub Actions and ArgoCD, right? So in this session, we have learned how to deploy Node.js Helm chart on Minikube using GitHub Actions and ArgoCD. So thank you for watching and I hope you understand.